If you want to attach the handles to the base directly using the hotshoe tripod adapters and nuts, we're going to have to drill 2 more holes in the base. And I'm not going to lie, this can be a bit tricky to get the placement right. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure your handle has a place on the bottom for a tripod to screw into. Assuming your handle has a tripod interface, decide which camera you're going to use for your left view and which you're going to use for your right view. It makes things a lot easier to keep track of if you decide this up front and stick with it rather than switching back and forth. Mark your left camera in some way so you can keep track of it. Use a small piece of electrical tape on the left side of the camera here near the base. It blends right into the camera's surface except for being a bit shinier. Next, mark one of your handles so that you'll always use it with the left camera. You can use another piece of electrical tape for this too, like I've done here, and you can see it's a bit shinier than the rest of the handle. Now it's time to screw the cameras onto the handles for both of the cameras if you haven't already, and we're going to fit them into the 3D rig base handles. If you're using the MeSphere camera, you'll notice the side that has the logo. If you can see that, that's the back of the camera, whereas the side that shows the camera and video icons at the top and the battery indicator on the side, which are hard to see in the video here, that's the front. So you want to place the left camera handle into the left rig handle and the right camera handle into the right handle of your rig until they're both touching the table surface at the bottom so you know that they're level. So now we'll start tightening the camera handles in place using the 4 screws. And you don't want to tighten them all the way. You just want to get them relatively sturdy because we're going to need to make sure that everything's properly aligned before we tighten things up. Alright, so now that they're basically in, you want to make sure that the cameras are facing directly forward. They're not tilted forward or back, angled side to side. They're not turned inwards or outwards. Basically just make sure they're aligned. And you can tell by looking directly from the side and trying to make sure that the cameras are perfectly in line. So once that's done, we'll tighten the screws the rest of the way to secure the camera handles in place. And we'll keep adjusting the alignment as we need to because we want the cameras to be as perfectly aligned as possible when we're actually taking photos. If they're not perfectly aligned, keep making adjustments. Once you have them aligned, we're going to make a template for where to cut our holes in the base plate. So just place the rig handles down on a sheet of paper with the front facing away from you. Hold them firmly in place with a finger, and then outline the base of each tube on the paper using a nice sharp pencil. So now let's take our 2 circles and draw a bridge about a 1/2 inch wide to connect them. Now what we want to do is make a note to keep track of what the orientation is. This will be the front, so we'll make a little arrow on both of them. And this will be for the left handle, and this will be for the right handle. We're doing this so we can keep track of the orientation of the template throughout the whole process. And now we'll just cut it out. Take your time to get as precise of a cut as possible because we want this to line up perfectly with the base of our rig handles. But I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch me cut the whole thing. Alright, so we've got the startings of our template. What we're going to do is take some Scotch tape, maybe an 1.5 inches, 2 inches. We'll flip the template over, and starting about 1/3 of the way into each circle, stick the tape onto the bottom so that the sticky side is facing up on the same side as we made our markings. And do that on each side. Now flip it back over and take the rig handles and put them right back on top in their original orientation to match our markings. And get them as close as you can. And then take the tape and run it up the side of the PVC tube on each side. Stick it on so that our template is sitting exactly over the base, or as closely as we can get it. At this point, what we want to do is flip over our cameras and make sure the template is firmly in place here. You might want to hold it tight with your fingers to make sure that each circle is in place. Then with your finger or the tip of a pencil, you can feel where the hole in the handle is and just make a hole. Push the paper in to make the hole as wide as the threaded opening. Then on the other side, again, hold it firmly in place around the edges. Find the hole again. And stick the pencil through. So once you have the 2 holes in the base, we'll take the tape off the sides of the tubes. And we'll take out the cameras so it's easier to work with this. Okay, so now we have the cameras out and we've got the rig handles here. What we're going to do is we're going to take our template and switch the tape around. We'll put it in the same place, but on the opposite side. Make sure you don't cover the holes. But now we want the sticky side facing down towards the opposite side of our markings. Now take your base plate. You can see I've already drilled holes in mine here. But use another piece of electrical tape to mark what's going to be the back edge of your base plate to keep things consistent, because you're going to need these placements to be pretty precise for this to work. So take your template, put it on top of your base, take your handles, put them on top of your base, and reposition your template underneath your handles so that the handles are sitting directly over top of the template, and that the template is matched with the actual position of the handles when they're sitting on the base. Once you have that, hold it in place with your finger in the middle here. Grab the base plate with your thumb, hold everything together, flip it over, and now with the tape, just secure it on the underside. If you bend the edges of the paper, that's fine. We just want to keep everything firmly in place here. Okay, so now that we have the template in place, you can take off the rig handles and set them aside. Now take a mechanical pencil, a Sharpie, whatever, and just make a mark on the base plate through the holes in your template. So once you remove the template, you have the marks for where you want to drill. Once you've made the marks, go ahead and take off your template because we're done with that now. And now you'll have 2 marks on your base plate where you want to drill your 1/4 inch holes. Now, drilling through this thing can be pretty hard. So when you're ready to start drilling, brace your base plate in some way and use the smaller titanium bit to drill directly in the center of the circles you drew to create an indent. When both are done, switch to the 1/4-inch titanium drill saw bit, which is the same size as the actual tripod screw on the adapter. Brace the plate, make sure the bit catches in the indentation you made, and then start drilling till you get through. When you're done, just file down the holes on both sides to make sure it's nice and smooth. If you've been careful, you should now be able to line everything up. You can take your hotshoe adapter here and stick it up through the bottom. And then screw on the tripod nut from the top. This is how we're going to fasten the adapter to the base plate rather than using an adhesive. So screw it into place, not too tight because we may need to make slight adjustments in our positioning afterwards to get the camera to sit straight, but tight enough that it's not moving around too much. Do the same thing on the other side. Personally, I use the flat side down. Screw it in place, tight but not too tight. And now we go back to our handles. Sit the rig handles on the base plate, grab your left camera, feed it in, feed it right through the bottom so you can actually see what you're doing, and just screw it into place. And we didn't tighten it too much, so even though we reach the end here, we can still turn. So now that's one in place. We'll grab our right camera, place it in, and I'm on the screw right now, so I'll just screw it in. Now, if you reach the end and it's not straight yet, just turn it back counterclockwise a bit, then screw it in more, and keep doing that, because that will give you some play on the bottom, just until you can straighten everything up. And once these are in place, you can tighten the back screws. Make sure everything is aligned before fully tightening them. Finish it up. And now you have one nice sturdy piece for your 3D rig.